Welcome to episode 1015. It's Monday. It's Thursday, March 5th, and you're listening to the Geek of Geek News Central. The show's sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners just like you. Pick up a domain name for just $1.49 or get $1 a month economy hosting with a free domain at GoDaddy. All by GoDaddy specials can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Start supporting this show today by becoming a GNC Insider at geeknewscentral.com/insider. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. You're going to make a great show. Lots of speculation of what's going to be announced at Apple next week, plus a whole lot more. Are you running your own home email server? I don't think so, but some politicians are. We'll talk about that. You know what comes next? Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Showtime.
Aloha and welcome to Geek News Central. Of course, my name is Todd Cochran. I want to welcome you to the show. Got a great show lined up for you today. I'm really excited. I thought it was going to be a little bit of a slow news day with the weather on the East Coast and everything that's been going on, and it was just a little bit. But I'll be honest with you, it's 70 to 80 degrees here in Honolulu. We've got trade winds, and it's absolutely beautiful. So if you're dealing with the snow, I am so sorry. There is a solution to that, and that is to get out an airplane and just come out and hang out with me and bring your credit card and your significant other and hang out at the beach and spend some money here. But I know many of you are ready for winter to be over. I can understand it completely. But we've got a little bit of a joy for you here for the next 75 minutes or so as we talk about what's going on in the tech space, giving you my commentary and insights to the best of my ability. And, of course, I want to give a very, very warm welcome to the Ohana, all the longtime listeners and viewers of the show. Thanks for being here. You guys are why I do this, and it is my pleasure to put on the show for you tonight, even though I didn't edit the intro and thought it was Monday, but I digress. Hey, so if you're new, I want to welcome you. If you're brand new to the show, we've seen an uptick in numbers. That's always good when we're showing show growth. And that means that many of you are telling your Android friends how to get access to this show. And if you're brand new to this show, we want you to come over to geeknewscentral.com and load the website and with your mobile device. And the first thing I want you to do, if you're on an iOS device, I want you to click on the iTunes link on the right-hand column of the website. You'll see it. Subscribe to podcast on iTunes. Click it. It's going to load the podcast iOS app. And all you got to do is hit subscribe within that, and you're connected with the show. Now, if you are coming in on an Android device, and you already do not have a podcatcher, in other words, you don't have an application to be able to get podcasts, it's real easy. All you got to do is click our More Subscription Options. It's going to take you to a page that's basically going to show you how to get subscribed. And we want you to load one of two apps. Beyond Pod for Android, it's free. Less, I guess for a better word, they don't spam you so much with advertisements. And Podcast Republic for Android. And once you've got those loaded, if you just click on the RSS feed on the website, that's going to give you an option then from those two apps to subscribe to the show. It's critical that you do that. That way you really never miss a single episode. We've got both the audio and video version. If you're on a mobile device, I definitely recommend you subscribe to the audio version of the show because the video stuff can get pretty big. And there's, of course, more information on that page as well. Now, we want you to get subscribed to the newsletter as well. That way, you basically get everything I talk about tonight in an email directly to your inbox, and it's under the important links section. So that important link section has, again, the newsletter, the subscribe link again in text, show advertising information, becoming a GNC Insider, and we want you to consider to do that. You can send a voice message, and if you're thinking about becoming a podcaster, there are gear recommendations there. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on the website. That's a way to get hooked up with the show. That's really important. But to get hooked up with me, all you got to do is email me here at geeknews@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at geeknews. Oops, I'm on the wrong slide. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at geeknews. And, of course, I'm on Facebook, Google+, all those great places. Link will be in the basically the show notes tonight on how to connect in any of those locations. Or actually, on the site of the website, there's a link there for Twitter, Google+, Facebook, and so forth. So there's no excuse to be able to reach out and touch me if you need to on today's show. If you have comments or commentary or complaints or I can do it better type of comments, hey, send them over. We want them. That's what it's all about. You're part of the family here, and what family does is they speak up, and they let their voices be heard, and if we agree, we agree. If we disagree, we'll disagree and still like each other. That's the main thing, right? And the main thing is that you're connected to the show, and we have a great conversation together. Of course, you can check this show on the check this show out on the Roku, Google TV, Chromecast. Kick back in your lazy boy. Let your thumb do the driving and watch the show. We're on the news category on the Tech Podcast channel. Get that loaded on the Roku. All of you have a Roku. I know you do. Load Tech Podcast. Give me a 5-star rating. And then, you can enjoy all the shows on the Tech Podcast Network as well. Hey, I do want to, before I start talking a little bit about our sponsor, I want to talk about the results for February. I got my email from my GoDaddy rep. Thank you, all of you. Thank you. We had a absolutely tremendous month. It was probably one of the top 10 months over the past 9+ years. So I really, it's a great thing. And your support of GoDaddy over the years has been simply incredible. It's hard to believe that we're turning more folks onto GoDaddy now, today, than we have been, all the years past. The numbers have, but it just seems like the last 6 to 9 months, man, it has been on fire. And I'm very humble and saying thank you very much for that support. It is greatly appreciated. And, I can't say enough with you on that. So, but anyway, of course, GoDaddy is the sponsor of this show. They are keeping the lights on in a big, big way. And we want you to consider GoDaddy as your next hosting customer or hosting service provider or picking up a domain name. GoDaddy is less jiggle and more about the business these days. They are making there's been a corporate renaissance over there. Lots of changes. They still have a gap here and there, just like any other company, but they're doing a good job, and I really appreciate their support of me and bringing you great products. So by going over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy, you are going to be able to get access to all my promo codes. And Geek149 gets you $1.49.com. GNC GOT, G-O-T, GNC GOT, get you a domain name, website builder, Microsoft Outlook email address for just $1 a month for 12 months. Okay, so that's, again, a free domain, website builder, Microsoft Outlook email address for $1 per month for 12 months. Press4 gets you $1 a month WordPress hosting with a free domain. That's one of my favorite promo codes. Geeks12 as well as another great one, $1 a month economy hosting with a free domain. And 50% off codes are still there on hosting plans, okay? So use the codes, figure out what saves you the most money over the long term. Definitely hook it up. Go over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Now, we've got banners that are running on the top of the page. And basically, if you just need a .com, come over there. That $1.49 deal's locked in. Also, that GNC GOT promo code is in rotation on the header on the website. So if you just click on that as well, it gets you locked into that particular promo code. But to tell your friends, family members, people that you know, share the codes far and wide. I definitely appreciate it when you when you basically tweet out about our codes and provide a link back to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy or talk positively about your experience. Same thing goes if you've had a bad experience. I want to hear about that too, because we do have a way to get you in to the right people. And I have a direct link now again to the main guy that's in charge of basically the hosting business at GoDaddy. And that's typically where issues come about if someone has a problem. And I can get him a direct email, and he will basically take it from there. But all these codes are available at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. I thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here. Again, thank you all. Thank you all for your ongoing support of the sponsor, and it really helps here a lot. I'm going to be very honest with you. Okay, so just in my short stack tonight, I wanted to talk a couple of things, and this is just a little bit off my normal routine here. But earlier, a month or so ago, I'd asked you guys what type of tools you were using in the social media space. And I'd asked on Facebook and a variety of different places. And I've really, after trying several, I've settled on two. One is mention.com. And we're using, and this is what we're using for Raw Voice to track some keywords and some stuff we're trying to watch in the space. We're at a $100 a month account with them using mention.com. I get basically 5 keyword searches. And we may be able to take it back to 3 after a month or two. We're just trying to kind of see at this point, but I'm really happy. It's finding stuff that I would not find it otherwise, and certain keywords being used, I'm able to reply on tweets and stuff and provide promo codes, and we're seeing traction on that. And and my main goal is at the end of the month to look at the amount of business I'm driving and gaining using that particular tool. And I'm using a separate promo code with that. Basically, if new customers come in and sign up and use that promo code, I'll know how many new customers I've got and if it's worth the $100 a month I'm spending for the service. And if nothing else, it's basically keeping me aware of what people are saying in the space. And I can also track, how should we say it, unhappy competitors, customers. So it works out real good. So mention.com is one of the sites we're using. And a tool we've been using forever, Hootsuite. And what we really did with Hootsuite, and if you have a business, we made a team account that basically controlled all the social stuff and then was able to give permissions out and build teams. And now I've got, the main 2 or 3 people that are within the company that watch the streams. We all can reply on whichever social media account or Facebook or that we need to. And then another strategy that we added to it was we actually have a team member now that specifically kind of watches 3 or 4 Facebook communities and a couple of Google Plus communities in areas that we can't track with any of these tools and watch for things that come up. And we pay that individual as a contractor to basically kind of do that and watch that and respond and help with tech support. It's worked out good, and I'm pretty pleased with the strategy here. So, if any of you are, looking at your social media plan and how you're going to work it, we really kind of have, for a better word at this point, 3 people acting as, kind of our social media liaisons. One is actually doing tech support, another person that's actually, getting the message out, and then I'm kind of watching for discussions that are going on, and then I can respond really on the fly to be able to tackle that. So I'm really pleased. I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little background on some things that I've been doing that way. Another thing I've been doing is as our business is growing into a new phase, and we've just we have a new hire starting on Monday. And Mackenzie, if you're listening to the show tonight, I know that you're probably eager in anticipation of starting on Monday. We look forward to having you in the office on Monday, and we believe me, we have a nice task list for you to get started on. So I'm looking forward to bringing a new member in, and we may have another hire coming soon as well. But as a small business, there's certain things that happen, and as we've grown in bodies, challenges that we've seen that we never necessarily had in the past. So if you're a small business owner, what are some of the challenges you've had as you've grown? And I'd love to hear from you. Just we don't have to talk about it on the show, but just love to hear any things that you've seen as your company's grown, some of the challenges you've had. But anyway, that's enough on that. But this coming Saturday, we're going to be talking with the team from Slate that launched a new website called Panoply, and we're going to have them on and talking about what their, from the new media side, what their plan is and where their execution is. So look forward to that interview on Saturday with them. Now, just to give you guys a heads up, I talked about this before, but I fly out Sunday morning for Phoenix, have a Ford event and meetings with Ford on Monday morning through early afternoon. I'm going to be meeting up with Don Bain, the Gadget Professor. He lives real close to where I'm staying. I'm staying at the W in Scottsdale, and Don and I are going to go. I'm going to go check Don's studio out, and we're going to hang out. So I'm going to get some video and maybe even doing a quick interview with the Gadget Professor and share that with you guys as the content. I don't know if that will go up until Tuesday, but we'll get the interview done, and that way we'll have some content for you when I come back. So look forward to hanging out with Don Monday evening and basically seeing his neck of the woods and where he lives and going into his business and stuff. So that's going to be very, very cool. And of course, Don released a new show tonight on the Gadget Professor. And don't forget, all of our great shows at Geek News Central, we have quite the lineup. We got, of course, Don Bain, the Gadget Professor. We've got Jamie Davis at Health Tech Weekly. We've got Todd Ani with The Elder Divide. We've got Langley with Robot Underpants. It's Rob and I on the new media show. So lots of cool stuff, and we're going to be launching a new site too. It's not ready. I don't know if I put a template on it yet. I had to look at I don't want to necessarily show this yet. Yeah, it's not ready. I got to apply a template to it, but I think I just showed it. That was dumb. Anyway, we're going to be talking about Pro Gear, and it's really going to be focused around launching that site just about the time of NAB, and team members are on board, and we're going to be putting stuff there. So it'll be fun to have a secondary blogging site that's more kind of related to some of the business stuff I do. But looking forward to getting that site up and running. Okay, so what else? Podcast Awards is going on right now, and you're free to go over there and vote. I'm going to tell you what happened. The Podcast Awards site is sold. I've talked about that already. It's being managed by the folks at New Media Expo right now, and they're still running on my infrastructure. We didn't move the website and just didn't want to go through the pain. But what we did different with the Podcast Awards website this year was we're running it on an Amazon instance, because what it was I was spending before like $1,400 a year for the server on that thing, and then it has this big burst of traffic for about a month and a half to 2 months, and then the traffic goes down to 20 or 25,000 hits a day, which is not necessarily a lot. So we put it on Amazon EC2, and we had it on a pretty small instance, and then we forgot to put it on a bigger instance. And when voting started, it sunk it. So I'm like, I had to get it rebooted into a bigger instance and get it running. But that site will move off onto New Media Expo's infrastructure after the voting's over. But voting is open. You can vote for your favorite shows over there at Podcast Awards every day, and feel free to do that. And the team over there, I think, for a better word, have learned the pain, the pain points of me running that before. So I am so glad not to be having to deal with that. The whole logistics of that. So it's going to be fun. Okay, so hey, of course, don't forget if you become an insider on the show, and we appreciate all of your support. We'll talk about that at the end. of the podcast today. But let's get into the regular tech stuff. I got a stack of stuff for you. And let me close that window. I'm going to close a couple of these that are going to be annoying. If you're watching on live stream, I want to thank you. We're streaming live over there as well. Got 3 live streams up right now, one on the Tech Podcast channel, on GNC, and of course the YouTube live is up. Those of you that are watching maybe on YouTube right now, don't forget you can come over to live.geeknewscentral.com and join the chat room. If you jump in the chat room, please say hello so I know you're here. That will be most appreciated. Okay. I think, yep, I'm ready. Apple. Big announcements coming. And I'm excited, but I'm hearing rumors that I may be getting set up here for disappointment. But if you are thinking about buying a MacBook Air, wait. Do not do that. What I want you to do before you go out and buy a MacBook Air, I'm very, very serious here because they're going to refresh the line. But I want you to go look at this Dell XPS. If you're a Mac user and you're looking for, or if you're thinking about going to Mac, I want you to go look at this Dell XPS. I'm serious. I fell in love with this laptop. It goes everywhere with me. I don't have to take a charger. I'm really pleased with this. But if you're a Mac diehard, come Monday of next week, it is very, very likely that there's going to be a new MacBook Air. And so we'll see. We'll see about that. Now, at the same time, we know that the watch is coming, the iWatch or whatever they're calling this thing, $349. And I will have to admit, I will probably just, for the sake of being able to give you guys a good rundown on it, we'll probably pick it up at some point. But the Beats conversion is supposedly now being pushed to WWDC. And the Apple TV may be late. It's being rumored that the Apple TV will have an app store. That's what's being talked about on 9to5mac.com, and they've been pretty good in the past on getting stuff right. So, and also that the iPad may have pushed. So what are they having an event for? If they're just going to release the watch, and they're going to release a MacBook Air, it seems like a lot of hype for nothing. So, is that the case? Is that what they're going to do? Maybe. I don't know. So anyway, that's the talking points at this point. And I hope they're all wrong. I really do. I hope they're all wrong here, but time will tell whether or not they are. And it's funny, I'm on the 9to5Mac site, and it's serving me up New Media Europe conference conference event information. That's going to happen 12-13 September in Manchester, UK. We may have to send our GNC correspondent that's in the UK to that event. We're going to have a conversation about that. He's right in striking distance. So anyway, we'll see what happens with the Apple announcement. But again, if you're thinking about buying a MacBook Air, you really need to follow my advice and go look at that Dell XPS. It is quite the machine. I'm very, 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 very honest with you. Okay, so let's talk about something that I'm really excited about. It keeps coming to news cycles, and it's an article over on eWeek. Talk about Lockheed Martin claiming sustainable fusion is within its grasp. Now, I don't know what. I probably should look at this. We probably should look it up and see what Lockheed is, what their stock price is. I got a funny feeling about this. Let's see here, Lockheed. Let's just look it up while I'm talking here. So Lockheed stock. Oh my God, it's $199 a share. It could, I split that thing 2 or 3 times. But the rumor is that Lockheed says that they claim sustainable fusion is within its grasp. Now, this is, again, another article saying that Lockheed Martin Skunk Works claims the ability to generate cheap energy from nuclear fusion with little waste or global warming is within its grasp. The Skunk Works are famous for the SR-71 and a variety of other aircraft that have come out of that plant. These guys are that work at these types of organizations. Let me just kind of give you an idea. Their heads are about this big. They're big brains, very, very smart, geniuses, many in their own right. These folks do the impossible. And if the news is even 50% as accurate as what they're claiming, I'm thinking I want to buy me some Lockheed stock. I really do. You know, you're looking at that $199 price range, and that's very expensive. You know, it's out of most of our. But you know, many of us didn't buy Apple either, and I could see if they really figure this out, that stock is going to. You thought Apple was valuable. Let's think about this. If they really are going to achieve within the next 10 years what they say they're going to be able to achieve, then things are going to dramatically change everywhere. And we are going to have cheap, sustainable power that will essentially solve many of the ongoing world issues, and potentially cheaper than coal, which in itself that's a big statement. So anytime you have a potential technology that could replace coal, if you've got investment dollars, you know, again, I'm not a stockbroker by far. I bought some stock and won, and I bought some stock and lost. That's kind of the way it is. I mean, you know, I'm not what you would consider a super savvy investor, but if they're really going to be able to do this, you know, claims have been made in the past and been debunked. And but there's been a lot of people that have been able to, for a better word, I'm looking out. I'm sorry, I got to interrupt my thought here. I'm looking out the window. The moon is huge. I wish I could turn a camera out the window. Wow. Okay, sorry. So they've been able to use all of the lessons learned from previous groups that have basically built systems and failed. You know, the U.S. government has funded fusion research projects for decades without producing the design of an economical fusion reactor, and that's what the folks at Skunk Works says they are able to do. And again, you know, they built the SR-71, they built the U-2 reconnaissance aircraft, and I just there's got to be something to this. As much news is out on the street, it may be all hype cycle. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they're going to be able to do this? And what do you think their company's value is going to be if they're able to really make this inexpensive? And, you know, basically a fusion reactor that could be in an airplane, you know, or, you know, hauled around in a trailer. You know, that's what we're talking about. So love to hear from you. geeknews@gmail.com. Another revolutionary thing is coming, and I just can't wait, is the self-driving cars. And self-driving cars will be in 30 U.S. cities by the end of next year. Many of these are going to be fleet vehicles. They're going to have some rollouts in the UK as well. And the first unveiling is projected to be in Tampa as soon as late spring. Some of these are going to be used in parks, even in they're going to be used in airports, downtown areas, college campuses, theme parks. Basically providing automated transportation in limited route areas, in places where they can be tested, and semi-controlled areas. So I really cannot wait until the day I'm able to get in my car and tell it to take me where I want to go and not have to touch anything and get to the location, jump out, and the car will park itself. That's my folks, is some serious freedom. This technology is not going to replace cars today completely, but it could. It could make commute time. Here in Hawaii, we are so. Oh my God, the traffic's so horrible, and I'm not understanding that at all. If you have at least vehicles that can talk to one another and keep from this chain, caterpillar action when you slow down, speed up, it can continue a continuous speed and a continuous car separation between vehicles. Smooth merging at merge points, all that stuff that, and here in Hawaii, people are nice. If you miss your exit and you need to get over, you put your blinker on, people will let you over. And that doesn't happen anywhere else. It's a little bit of aloha here. In lanes, people go, every other car for merging. It's a little weird. They don't blow their horns here. This would be the perfect place for self-driving vehicles. I want to be in a vehicle rolling down the highway at 65 miles per hour. And, maybe keep an eye on things, but be free to be on my mobile phone or whatever it is without getting a ticket. Car's driving, Mr. Police Officer. Give a car the ticket. It was going too fast. It's just a lot of stuff that is really going to open up here. So I'm excited about the future when it comes to self-driving vehicles, and it just can't happen really fast enough, in my opinion. A little bit on the political side, a Republican Senator, U.S. Representative Marsha Blackburn, Republican of Tennessee. Of course, Tennessee is one of those states that is trying to restrict the expansion of community broadband. She filed legislation this week called the Internet Freedom Act. That's designed to overturn the FCC's new network neutrality rules. We all know where this is headed. It's going to go through. It's going to get approved. I'm sure the Senate's going to approve something, and then it'll go to the president. He's going to veto it. We'll see where this. It's just going to be again back and forth. I don't want to spend too much time on this at this point, but there was a little bit of a dust up with Netflix and a comment that one of their executives made. But what's interesting is he was taken a bit out of context, and I think I actually got some email from some of you that said, "See, the Netflix doesn't want the net neutrality either." And basically, what Netflix is saying is that, and I think even I agree, the FCC was not given much choice. They had to use the nuclear option, largely because of Verizon. And I think that Netflix, just like anyone else, wanted a little different solution, and obviously it didn't happen. So anyway, there's some clarifying remarks, and the executive may have been speaking a little bit out of turn, but at the same time, I think we all can agree that the Title II stuff was definitely a last resort type of thing, but they were really not given much choice. But anyway, I have that link up to both those articles talking about the Netflix comments and also the Republicans' legislation to overturn it. On the security side, there's something really, and I was just kind of not even tracking this, but we talked, I think, a little bit about it in a previous show, but stop the presses here. HTTPS crippling freak bug affects Windows after all. Computers running all supported versions of Microsoft Windows are vulnerable to freak. That's a bug disclosed Monday that for more than a decade has made it possible for attackers to decrypt HTTPS protected traffic passing between vulnerable end users and millions of websites. Microsoft confirmed the vulnerability in an advisory published last Thursday. A vulnerability scanning services at freakattack.com, a site that offers information about the bug, confirmed the advisory, showing the latest version of IE11 running on a fully patched Windows 7 machine was susceptible. Previously, it was believed that the Windows system was immune to the attacks. Now, here's all you got to do. And Chrome's not out of the woods yet either. Run Firefox. If you're a Windows user, just start running Firefox until they get this figured out. Versions of Firefox are not susceptible to this freak attack. And basically, in rare cases, there could be a man in the middle that would be able to look at the data going back and forth and using cheap cloud services be able to decrypt what was actually transcribing. So be aware of that. And I'll have the link up in the show notes. Again, just use Firefox for the time being. If you're off doing a lot of going to weird sites, and the key here is that there's a lot of sites on this list that you may not suspect that run this weak encryption, and that's the key. It's really because there are about 14 million HTTPS protected websites, with about 36% of them supporting the weak cipher. Sites like AmericanExpress.com, Groupon.com, Blueburn.com, and many, many more. So again, just use Firefox at this point. That will get you set up, and you'll be good to go. All right. I should have had this group with the Fusion claims, but there's an article over on motherboard.vice.com talking about Lockheed Martin's new laser that can do a trick from a mile away and essentially burning a hole in a vehicle. I don't think they have any video on this, but this would be real cool. They got a picture, so I'm telling you, these lasers are heating things up. So link will be up in the show notes. I just wonder what kind of power supply they have to create that kind of juice to make it happen. All right, there's a great article, and it's a few days old, but I found it through a link to some other sites that I read, and it's sealedabstract.com, and it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek article about. It starts off entitled "Google, Our Patron Saint of the Closed Web." So, Apple has been obviously bashed for many, many years for having, very paranoid about their developer relations. And, but Google now is starting to do some stuff that's a little bit eye-raising. The top level domains were, highly contested. Like .app, .guru, .ceo, .church, and so on. So, ICANN basically did open bids and allowed people to pay $185,000 to apply for a single top-level domain, and there was some bidding wars that went on. But Google put in 101 applications. Amazon made 76 applications. So if you think about the cash they laid out, it was not insignificant. One of the TLDs that Google registered has in bidding for us one that's called .dev, D-E-V. And developers out there, were pretty gaga about this particular TLD because it could be like Angelo Mandato, .dev. And of course, that's what Angelo's a developer. It could be, anyone that's in the dev space could have a place to basically show off their work. And it not necessarily have to have a .com. Show their geek out. But Google decided that particular domain was going to be a top-level domain. It was going to be closed. In other words, Google was going to pay for it and then only use it internally. And there was a variety of other ones that they had basically picked up as well that they were going to, not make available to the general public. And there's a bit of an outcry on that. There's some backlash that started. And there's been buzz about this in a variety of different circles, and these are mostly SEO-type sites. One of those is Circle.com. Another one is DomainInsight.com. And these sites really are kind of watching what's going on in the internet, and they basically started a protest with the ICANN to say, hey, these top level domains should not be allowed to be private. So now there is a battle that is brewing. Google's doubled down and made, they got the PR machine running at full tilt and twisting language and so forth. But closed generic TLDs is, I don't believe, a good idea. I don't think anyone should be able to control internet-based TLD. And we'll have to see where this leads. But just like Apple doesn't allow their teams to speak at conferences, and they don't work good with devs, we should at the same point give Google, piling onto them a little bit, in that they're not being so open, and that evil word is starting to come into play here. But we have to be aware that these top level domains like .app, .blog, .cloud, .search are largely going to be under Google's control as a closed TLD. And is that fair? I don't think so. .blog, I'd love to have that, have some domains on that. So we'll see where all this goes down the road, but the ICANN is taken under consideration, and we'll see where they lead. But anyway, I have the link up in the show notes for you to review that. Okay, how many of you have ever run your own personal email server? I have. I did when I was running my bbsnets.com. I had my own domain server. Matter of fact, I run one for Hafidai.com. I run one for FileArchive.net. And there was a bunch. I was running, doing all kinds of weird stuff in the early days. And then Gmail came. It didn't make sense to do that anymore because they would run your email server. I have a number of domains that are running on Gmail's, basically the Google apps. And I don't have to, they take care of the spam, and, of course they're indexing my emails, but that's the price I'm paying for that, right? Well, obviously our former Secretary of State and former First Lady, Hillary Clinton, has been running her own email server in her home, of all places. Can you imagine that? Being the Secretary of State and using her private email server as a government employee instead of using the .gov. Basically, the state.gov. Why would she do that? Well, emails are things that, for a better word, are public information. And largely, as long as they're not classified, they can, Freedom of Information Act, you can get access to governmental data. But when a email is sitting on a private server, the ability to get access to that email is much harder. Now, considering that Mrs. Clinton is considering a run for the presidency, it's obvious that she did not want some communications that she had while she was at the U.S. State Department as a Secretary of State to be open for, basically purview by the public as she runs for president. I don't know about you, but there's just really something really, really wrong with this. And I know there's been some Republicans as well that have run personal email servers as well, and shame on all of them. Now, again, these emails are records that may be subject to document retention requirements, discovery for lawsuits. Is a company, if you're a publicly held company, there's Sarbanes-Oxley stuff that you have to follow. I cannot imagine having my employees use an email that was not associated with rawvoice.com. If I'm doing business and I'm doing business emails, I need to be on the corporate system. And, all that stuff is, we have our own rules on, how much, how stuff is kept and so forth and archived. So she apparently had about 55,000 records that they provided to the State Department from her personal email server. I still don't understand why the governmental IT folks did not just say, whoa, 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 Secretary, you're not allowed to do that. It's because, in all honesty, let's just call a spade a spade. And I don't care what party you support. This is not about politics. But these folks are considering themselves above the law. And frankly, when we have people that are being considered to run for president that consider themselves to be above the law and above reproach, there's something very, very, very dangerous with that. And it's time for presidential dynasties, congressional dynasties, House of Representative dynasties. We need to start replacing the people in our governmental offices, lock, stock, and barrel, and demand for term limits and so forth. Of course, the presidencies are already limited to 2 terms, but this is just these folks are. I don't have to do that. That's their attitude, and it just really, as much stuff that's going on today, we all have to scratch our head a little bit. Now, can you imagine if she had, and I don't know how the State Department works, to be honest with you. I don't know how they work with classified information. I don't know how they keep, HIPAA information private. I don't understand any of that. I'm just going to be straight up. But can you imagine being the Secretary of the State of the United States and running your own personal email server in your house? In your house? Hackers would have, if they even had an inkling that this thing was out there, oh my God. That thing wouldn't have survived 3 hours. Right? He did a pretty good job of keeping that secret, right? I can't imagine. The government has a hard enough time keeping the hackers out. And yet they're going to have, she's got better security, better IT people, better, firewalls than the State Department has. Come on, I'm going to give the IT some credit over there. I'm sure they have a pretty secure system. It's more secure than a rogue email server in someone's house. Businesses would not allow this. You would be fired if you did this at your business. Businesses specifically restrict that. Wow. What do you guys think? I'd love to hear from you. And just leave the politics at the door. But tell me if you think this is just, what's your thoughts on this? And many of us that listen to the show are geeks, and we know what it takes to run an email. Now, those of you that aren't, and you don't know what it takes to run an email server, it's not that complicated, but making sure it's locked down, secure, passwords are set, all that stuff, and then sensitive information that's going to the State Department. I'm awed. Maybe a better word is I'm disgusted. Enough of the dynasties. Let's find someone new and fresh. I don't know if it's even possible, is it? I don't think so. All right, on a more semi-happy note, major theaters are boycotting Netflix Beast of No Nation movie. Major theater chains are refusing to show Beast of No Nation. The 4 largest exhibitors, AMC, Regal, Cinemark, and Carmike, are basically saying, nope, we're not taking the movie because they're releasing it online the same day. Many independent movie theaters are going to run it because they don't care about the same day release stuff. But that's an interesting move here. They're trying to play hardball. I hate to tell those movie theaters, but things are changing. um, and your reign is not going to last if you continue to do that. I haven't. I'm looking forward to watching this movie. I'm sure it's about. It looks like the Boko Haram and all that. That's kind of what it looks like. But anyway, link will be up in the show notes. You guys can check that out. All right. Do you live? Let's see. This is in Virginia. Okay. If you live in Virginia, listen. Now we have many of you I know that do. I think Bree. I think you live in Virginia. But listen very, very carefully. Maybe you live in Maryland. But anyway, there's legislation quietly making its way through the General Assembly in Virginia. Imagine law enforcement checking your Facebook and financial accounts without you even knowing it. You know, when you're going to be searched and the government's going to come in and search and seize stuff, they're going to show up at your house or show up at your business, and they're going to walk in with a troop of officers or investigators. They're going to hand you a search warrant. That search warrant's going to be very specific about what they can look at. You may be detained or not, but at that point, a judge has signed off and they can come in and basically take your stuff away. But again, imagine if law enforcement could check your Facebook and financial accounts without knowing it. It could be the future as sneak and peek legislation, again, quietly makes its way through the Virginia General Assembly. Lawmakers say the legislation will help catch child predators. They always use that. But others fear this legislation gives state authority. Okay, I'll stop. None of us like those type of people, and they should be found and hunted down, right? But others are fearing this legislation gives state authorities the same sweeping search and seizure powers the FBI uses under the Patriot Act. And as the writer of this article, Carrie O'Brien, accurately says, it's dangerous to me, very dangerous. The law would allow state authorities to comb through your phone logs, computer records, and your Facebook account without you even knowing it. You don't get served. Local lawyers and the ACLU are warning that the two bills in the General Assembly allowing for administrative subpoenas to give state law enforcement the power to sneak a peek at your personal information without having to obtain a warrant. Again, they don't have to tell you that they're doing this. Legal analyst Carrie Bowen says Senator Jennifer Waxman, Senate Bill 919, and Jennifer McKellen's House Bill 1946 have no limits. This is again for the state of Virginia. Get on the phone, Virginia residents. You have been warned. And this article made it into my inbox a little bit late. So it may be too late. But I'll have a link up in the show notes for you to look at it, okay? Or you have a Facebook account. Facebook is going to stop counting likes for some accounts. Bad news for those of you that have been using services to pump your numbers. So Facebook is changing how it counts likes across its pages for celebrities and businesses. In other words, if the account's dead, it's not being used, they're going to take the like away. So be aware of that. If you use one of those services, your likes numbers could just collapse. Windows 10, will it run on your PC? Well, the folks over at ZDNet have put together a pretty good piece on exactly that, talking about the technical preview, technical specifications needing, and basically, here's what you need. You need a 1 gigahertz or faster processor, 1 gig of RAM, or 2 gig at 64-bit, free hard drive space of 16 gigs, a graphics card, being a Microsoft DirectX 9 graphic device with a WDDM driver, and a Microsoft account for internet access. So that's really the baseline. You're going to want a little bit more horses under the hood, a little more RAM than that, but that's the basis of what will take to run it. Also, there's been some leaked videos showing Microsoft's new next-gen Windows 10 web browser in action, and I watched the video. Pretty nice. You'll definitely want to take a look at this. They're really working hard to compete in a big way. An interesting move here. Apple, Facebook, Comcast, and hundreds of other asked Supreme Court for nationwide marriage equality. And they're basically asking every state, they're asking the Supreme Court to make a ruling that marriage equality is equal across all 50 states. What's the right word to use here? They're going around state legislatures, and basically what they're trying to do, 374 companies banded together again to file an amicus brief in the U.S. Supreme Court stating that all couples should share the right to marry. The brief, which was filed today by law firm Morgan Lewis, actually makes a business case for legalizing same-sex marriage across the country. It claims that currently muddled and confusing legal landscape surrounding same-sex marriage places significant burden on employers and their employees, making it increasingly hard to conduct business. I don't know if I want to go around states. I know this is a touchy subject for some. Most states are rolling that way at this point. But yeah, if you're a national company, you've got employees everywhere. Your benefits packages and everything would be, all affected. There's also family-owned businesses all the way up to the giants like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Comcast, Levi's, Nike, Procter & Gamble, Wells Fargo, United, and dozens more that are a part of this as well. So anyway, I don't know what it's going to lead to, but link will be up in the show notes for you to preview. Also, on this self-driving cars, they're projecting that those cars would save $190 billion a year in damages and health costs. In other words, not so many people going to emergency rooms, morgues, and to the operating table from car accidents. I think that's yet to be seen, but that is a prediction of what self-driving cars will help us protect. Good article over on CNET talking about space and how it smells awful or sometimes awesome, depending where you're floating. But they're saying that largely it smells like a burnt fire pit. Or some people have actually smelled bacon. And this is basically when they've gotten back on the International Space Station and, basically cycled the airlock. When they've done spacewalks, the guys on the moon. Basically they get the odor, sticks with them as they repressurize. And you think about it, what's out there in the vacuum? The sun, and it's blazing away. So I would think that maybe the vacuum of space probably would smell like a burnt fire pit. It is kind of it would be pretty stale, don't you think? No air circulation, so wouldn't you like to have a little whiff of it? Wouldn't of us all like to have a little whiff of space? Not in the literal sense, but can up some vacuum, or however they do it. You can't can up vacuum, but or be in an airlock, and then take your spacesuit off and smell the remnants of it. I think it would be kind of cool. They say sometimes it smells like really nasty stuff, like rotten eggs as well too. But it'd be worth it. All right, a big blast sends a star on the fastest trip out of the galaxy. Incredible, like 16,000 miles per hour or something like that. And it was basically pushed because of a shock wave from a star that went supernova. So they got some pretty cool statistics on this thing. I'll have that link up in the show notes. Hey, what happens when you have a trademark and you abandon it? Well, if you abandon it for long enough, people can take that trademark and take that phrase or name, and they can repurpose it and start a new business. Well, when Macy's swallowed up a slew of department stores across the land, from Marshall Field's to Fellini's and Abraham and Straus to Jordan Marsh, it rebranded most of those stores to Macy's stores. A new lawsuit brought by the company that echoes a suit from 2011. It was slated to come to trial soon. Macy's says a California company behind the resurrection of Hydrox and Astor Pops is infringing on trademarks that it is held for many of those recognizable brand names. But the problem is, Macy's haven't used those names in a long, long time. So this one's probably headed to a court showdown as well. But again, if you have a trademark, you have to use it, you have to exercise it, you have to protect it. And if you don't, you can lose it. Well, they weren't using it, so technically they should lose it. Switching gears here, Gmail for iOS was updated. There's lots of new features, so definitely take a look at that. You can archive a reply to a message directly from a notification. You email files from other apps, attach photos and documents to Gmail right from your favorite apps. New attachment viewer opens attachments from Gmail into any app. So there's a lot of things here. You can reply from a notification as well. So be aware of that, of the new iOS app for Gmail app on iOS. Excuse me. Scientists are saying that the ancient Mars had an ocean. After 6 years of planetary observation, scientists at NASA say they have found convincing new evidence that the ancient Mars had an ocean. It was probably the size of the Arctic Ocean, larger than previously estimated. The researchers report on Thursday the body of water spread across the low-lying plain of the planet northern hemisphere for millions of years. So kind of an interesting article for sure. I'll have that up in the show notes. USPTO is putting to kibosh, they're putting to end a program called SAWS. SAWS was a means of identifying patent applications that claimed controversial material, giving them additional review and alerts. So basically, as patents were scanned in, it keyed in on certain words, and if it thought that this one may be an overbroad patent or so forth, they'd put it in a different category. So if it had words like marijuana, pornography, AIDS, cold fusion, those types of words in the patent application, it flagged them. Well, it was supposed to be secret until a patent reviewer basically told a lawyer about it by mistake. They filed a Freedom of Information Act, were able to get information on it, basically put pressure on the patent office, and they are no longer going to be using SAWS. They say it was only flagging 0.4% of all patent applications that were getting set aside with the program. But they are going to table it. Okay, switching here. Comcast customers are getting, you guys are getting screwed over again. You can't get HBO on your PlayStation 4. If you're a Time Warner customer, you can, but not if you're on Comcast. So that's one device that will not work. If you're an Office fan, the Office 2016 for Mac preview is now available. They're going to give you a 90-day temp license to be able to use it until it arrives later in the year. So if you're an Office fan, you want to try Office 2016, it is available from Microsoft. Also, if you live in California and you're looking for auto insurance, Google has launched a search service called Google Compare for auto insurance. It's a lead generation tool, aggregates quote information for participating insurers. I think this is a great idea. If I can look at like 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 different car insurances at once without getting on the phone, this is going to cause the insurance industry to heat up and be more competitive. I love it. I really, really do. And it's a pretty sophisticated search. You set your options, and it basically gives you a list. And then you can buy the insurance right there online, or you can call the agent that's linked to it. And a lot of companies are starting to participate. Mercury Insurance, MetLife, 21st Century Insurance. I'm sure Geico and all those other folks will be involved shortly as well. But just a heads up, it's only in California right now. Well, we've always wondered if the U.S. government was doing any type of seeding of clouds. Well, it turns out during the Vietnam War, there was a secret weather manipulation program where over 2,000 flights used zinc. What did they actually use? Where they were seeding clouds with, was it zinc? They talked about it. Well, anyway, this is a good write-up here, and they were basically trying to extend the monsoon season in Vietnam, and they don't think it really worked real well. So there's a book out about it, but any of you guys out there that think that chemtrails and that type of stuff is, the government spraying us with something, this might be a little bit more to add to your theory book. Hey, steam machines are back. Valve wanted to take over the living room, and we all kind of been waiting to see what's going on. But when Valve failed to deliver Steam Machine last fall, a lot of folks were kind of worried. But Valve Steam Machine is now available, and there are pretty positive reviews on this. The Steam controller is part of it as well, and I don't know what the price of this is. I guess $50. Any of you using this Steam stuff at all? I'd love to hear from you about it. I'm not a. Oh, it's coming this fall. I thought it was already here, according to the article. Anyway, I will. Well, maybe some of them are. All Steam machines launching this November, including the Alienware Alpha machines from Origin PC, Gigabyte, and Falcon Northwest. So maybe they're not available. Any of you on this bandwagon? I'd really love to hear from someone that's following this close. Any of you hardcore gamers out there, let me know what's going on with Steam. Please, I need to get up to speed on that. Cynogen is thinking that Samsung will be slaughtered by the competition. There's a lot of Chinese folks, Chinese companies are coming on the scene with impressive Android phones on a lower price. And the folks at Cynogen thinks because their operating system or their fork of Android is, which is cleaner, is going into those OEMs, into these cheaper Android phones. They really think that it's going to cause big damage to Samsung. Time will tell on that, that's for sure. Hey, a lot of folks that fly drones, fly them over water. If I had a drone, I would never fly it over water. Well, apparently you don't have to worry no more because there's a drone that will actually land in the water and actually take off as well. So it's called the H20, and it's called the Splash drone. I would make sure I had a waterproof camera hanging out the bottom of it. But there is, if you crash in the water, it allows you to deploy an emergency flare for up to 15 minutes. And very interesting stuff. But it's supposed to be able to fly out of the water, too. It's supposed to be waterproof at $1,299. Yes, $1,299. I have the link up for you to look at. Hey, if you like a good cocktail now and then, Google search will now display cocktail recipes. That's available. So just if you want to learn how to make that Long Island iced tea, just ask Google, and Google will tell you. Over in Gizmodo, there's some amazing photos taken by a pretty crazy dude that's basically crawling through the subway tunnels or walking through and not getting electrocuted in the process, going into old stations and so forth and taking very eerie pictures. I didn't know there was abandoned stations in New York. I guess they're all over the place. But pretty good pictorial of this I'll have up for you to review. Sorry, Mac users. Oracle's extended its adware bundling into Java builds for Mac. So the Windows folks have been dealing with this for years, but very, 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 very careful when you're basically installing Java now on a Mac, and be careful on what you're agreeing to, okay? Because they're going to add this adware crap to it that I really hate, and it basically screws up your browser. I always deselect that stuff. Java seems like it's updating every 2 days. It's so ridiculous. It really is. But Mac users, just be aware that they're dropping this adware in now, and you may inadvertently install it. All right, Einstein's cross. Basically, part of his rules of relativity, general theory of relativity, basically said that light could be bent by areas of high gravity and or concentration of mass. Of course, concentration of mass results in gravity in the universe. But for the first time, they've been able to look at through 4 different lenses some light that's coming out of some galaxies and actually be able to see what's called the Einstein cross effect. And this happened on a supernova 9.3 billion light years from Earth. And really, that's almost out at the farthest place. That's really deep in on where we can see in the galaxy. But this is the first time it's been able to be seen. And his, this genius once again is proven right on one of his theories. So really, really cool stuff there. Link will be up for you to review. If you're a Chrome addict, Acer's put out a pricey Chromebook with 8 gigs of RAM, 4K monitor support, and so called the CXI Chromebook. Acer's trapped the new 4th generation Intel Core i3 4030U dual-core CPU to power this box. It's a 16 gig SSD, provides local storage. It's available up to 8 gigs of RAM. For prices start at $350 for the 4 gig option and $400 for the 8 gig option. The Acer nearly doubles the Chromebook offerings from HP, Asus, but packs enough horsepower to justify the higher price. So a link will be up on that. It's a self-contained unit, all in one. It's a monitor and everything with the operating system built in. A lot of stuff going on in the virtual reality space, and of course, part of the problem with the VR helmets is they often make folks sick to their stomach, and they're working really, really hard to eliminate that nauseating feeling that's happened to people using the headsets and using lasers for stabilization and a variety of different stuff. So if that's something that you're worried about when it comes to these VR headsets, I'll definitely have more for that as these start to come on to market. But there's a good article about it, again, that I'm referencing to on New York Times. And the Wall Street Journal is also confirming that Google's Carrier experiment could launch this month, but only with Nexus 6. So interesting move by Google, and of course, it'll probably be on Sprint or T-Mobile, maybe both. So we'll keep an eye on that and let you know. I aren't even thinking about getting the Nexus 6. All right, so let me open up email here. Doing okay on time. Got through that last half pretty fast. I kind of staged it that way today. The wind is really whipping up tonight. That's not trade winds. That's high wind. Can you guys hear that in the background? Okay, so let me load the comments. Boy, some of the FCC stuff still comes in. So the last show, of course, was on Monday the 2nd. So I need to look at comments that were made since then. And there is a few. Do I have them in here? Oh, it's still trying to load email. Come on, come on, come on. Load this folder. And that was my mistake. I'm not opening up Thunderbird. Well, while that's loading, what I want to remind all you folks for is I definitely want you to consider becoming a GNC Insider, going over to geeknewscentral.com/insider. We really appreciate it when you support the show financially with a $2, $5, $10, $15, or $25 a month contribution. 6.7 cents a day gets you started at the $2 plan. And, of course, we've got the different levels to work towards. 1 year of contributions gets you into the different categories. And I guess I probably should go over those. It's been a while since we've done that. Got quite a few people on the stream. But you guys aren't in the chat room. Okay, so at our... Everyone's in Ohana. No donation needed. But at the Warrior level, at $60 per year, $5 a month, is basically get you become a Warrior here. To be a Kahuna, that's $125 a year, and basically those are contributions of $5 or $10.41 a month. A Big Kahuna is $250 per year. Our Ali is basically our one of our higher levels at $500 a year in contributions. Royal Council is $1,000 per year, and of course our Warriors Council is $1,000 lifetime, and we have 4 people currently on the Warriors Council, and then the King's Court is for a $5,000 lifetime contribution. We want you to become an insider, support the show. That Big Kahuna one, that's a great one to be at $25 a month. If you can spare it and you can help the show out on a monthly basis, it's greatly appreciated. I appreciate all donations, no matter how much. One-time donations as well. We definitely thank you for that. I'll go over to some of those folks here in just a second. But Russell sent me an email. He says, Todd, I'd highly recommend listening to This Week in Tech version 484. Brett Glass clearly explains how the money paid to ISPs for specific access to their systems. His explanation is very clear and may change your perspective. But I will say that the real issue is a lack of competition. I agree too. And guess what this regulation will do? Zero. Nothing knotted to create competition. That's probably true as well. If anything, it will further empower those entrenched companies that have the cash and experience to deal with new regulations. Finally, when it comes to government, we need to embrace Ronald Reagan's thoughts. Trust but verify. Just my thoughts. Thank you, Russ. I appreciate that, Russ. I really do. Got an email from Andy. Andy's, of course, Andy Brown, and those of you that may have saw Andy on some of the videos we did years ago at CES, he says, we need net neutrality. He says, I am in China, where we don't have it, and it's a total mess. companies start flexing their muscles, and the internet, it's so warped, it's impossible to get unbiased information. Biased info and websites are the only things we can see, as the rest is just too slow. They're not an option. Sent from his iPhone. Of course, Andy is a surgeon, doctor. He treats expats in Shanghai. He's there for 3 months, comes back to Louisiana, to New Orleans, 3 months, and then back to China. I think he's about done doing his rotations there. Haven't seen Andy in a while. Andy, I know you're listening. You got to come to Hawaii, man. We need to hang out. And you can enjoy the sun and fun here. So plan on coming through next time. We'd love to have you. Okay, I think that's... Oh, no. I need to go down and let me load this. And I want to... Let's see here. Invoice. All these are invoice. I'll get into the donors on the next show. But all the folks sent their invoices in for the new month because of our... got to pay some PayPal bills. All right, that's going to wrap me for today. I want to thank you all so much for being here. Thanks for being part of the Ohana. Thanks. I really do appreciate it. Again, thank you for support our sponsor, GoDaddy. If you got value out of today's show, value for value, again, become an insider at geeknewscentral.com/insider. But I'll see you back here probably a week from today for the Geek News Central show. But we'll definitely be bringing a special a video or of some sort from Don Bain's hacienda and studio, and we'll walk you through that. We'll provide that to everyone. But and also I'm going to have some stuff from Ford as well. So I won't leave you hanging. We'll have some information for you online. If it turns out that things... if we're able to do a short show on Monday, which I don't think is going to happen, I'll do it. I'm not promising anything. But everyone take care. Have a great week. Look forward to those videos coming out. I'll get those up so you're entertained. And just keep your eyes on geeknewscentral.com. But everyone take care. We'll see you next time. Aloha.